before we get into the fishing video, let's talk about these water shoes I picked up. They're called Cross Kicks, and this is the 2.0 version that you're looking at. But these shoes are great on the boat ramp, especially when you're stepping on moss. Also, another thing that I like about them is on the side, they have pretty large size holes that once you step out of the water, the water expels out of the shoes really nicely. And another thing that I like about these shoes is they have a strap to help hold the shoe on, and that strap is easy. It just snaps on really easy, so you don't have any laces that you're tying, and that will come in handy when you're stepping in mud and you have to suck your feet up out of the mud and it won't pull the shoe off. But these things are really nice. So they're called Cross Kicks. This particular one I have is the 2.0, but they have different colors and different versions of it. And also the guys over at Cross Kicks was actually pretty nice enough to give all my YouTube subscribers a 20% off on it. So I attached the link to the video, and in that link, once you go to the website and make your order, it'll automatically give you the 20% off. It has a code in there, but you necessarily don't have to put the code in there. It'll automatically give you the 20% off. Cross Kick, try them out, and I'm telling you, you're gonna love this water shoe. I'm at a Texas State Park, Purtis Creek. This is a really nice little lake. Really nice lake for kayak fishing. They have several different places on the lake that you can put your kayak in, with nice sloping banks. I use the boat ramp because my kayak is heavy, but there's for the lighter kayaks that you can pull down to the water on your cart, you can take them and push them in. There's several spots where the bank is sloped and you can easily put your kayak in. One thing about this lake is they only allow on boat motors, they only allow them to idle. So you can't get up on plane or just motor around the lake or anything like that. So as a kayak fisherman, you only have to deal with the wind. You won't have to deal with any kind of boat wakes. And another thing is the bass is catch and release, and the crappie is on this lake. The crappie is just the same as whatever the state limit is. It's the same. But catch and release on the black bass.
Today I'm gonna start out with a white jig head and an orange body with a little bit short shoe tail. This actually had 3 little tails on. I cut 2 of them off, so I wanted just to make my profile a little bit smaller. If I was a crappie, I'd hide it.
It's late summer, a few weeks before fall. The fish are gonna be at least 15, 20 feet deep. So, but crappie likes cover. So you have standing timber that's sticking up above the water surface. I mean, it should go straight to it. And the thicker it is, the more likely there's fish there. So what I like to do is I'll try to scan it, but sometimes you can't get close enough to the pile to standing timber to see exactly what's going on beneath you. But the good odds are that the heavy stuff, where there's several limbs sticking up and around in kind of a circle pattern or something, then you're going to have a crappie there. A lot of times these, like this one with the thin pieces of limbs sticking up, a lot of times those pieces are breaking off and falling in and creating a natural brush pile below. So you want to fish the thicker stuff. The problem with fishing the thicker stuff is that you're going to get hung, and the fish is going to wrap you around something. You know, but once you get used to fishing that, I mean, you'll come up with techniques how to get yourself out of a jam, and you're not tying your line all the time. You'll find fishing in this type of heavy standing timber is the hook set is important, but the other thing that's important is to follow through. Don't, especially on these small fish, don't let them take line and pull you down, because they got a plan too. I mean, some of them been hooked several times, so they know what to do to get themselves out of that situation. So don't let them pull you down into the structure. So set the hook and then follow through and just come straight up with it. And the fastest way is to pull straight up opposed to cranking it. But and then you can start cranking it. Once you feel like you got them above the thicker stuff, then you can start cranking them in. But the trick is to, when you set that hook, start straight up with it, because if you're fishing above them, and which typically that's what a crappie likes to do, is like to strike above them and then go down, then that's the hit that you're gonna get. You're gonna get it's gonna swim up to it, hit it, and then it's kind of go back where he came from. So yeah, be ready for that, and then follow straight through, pull straight up, and try to go straight up, and then you'll be able to go into the same direction that you drop your jig into. Let's say you planning a crappie fishing trip and you got an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours drive. I mean, a 2 hour drive is a pretty heavy drive. It's a drive that you could probably make in a day and turn around and go back, but anything more than 2 hours would be pretty tough to do. But say you planning this trip and you're gonna fish for crappie, I would stay away from full moon. So when you planning your trips around crappie fishing, I mean, use the moon as a guide to help you, with whether or not the fish is gonna be on. Yeah, the weather has a big part in what the crappie is gonna do, but the moon has a very big part of how the fish is gonna bite. And the weather is the weather, but yeah, and the weather forecast, you can predict the weather forecast, yes, but the moon is the moon. I mean, it's gonna be, if it's a full moon, it's gonna be a full moon. That's not gonna change, and the full moon will slow down a bite, and you could drive 2-3 hours to a spot and not catch anything. So if I was planning a trip, I would stay for sure away from the full moon, and 2 or 3 days before the full moon, probably would be a good bite, but 2 or 3 days after the full moon may not be a very good bite. It may be just as bad as the full moon. Something about that full moon and right after that full moon, that the fish usually are tough to catch. They have a short feeding window, and you're gonna be on the lake for several hours, trying to wait on the fish to bite. You can wait them out. I mean, you can fish all night and all day, and sure, eventually they're gonna start eating. But if you can stay away from that moon, that full moon, when you're planning your trips, I mean, it'll really help your good day of fishing. I definitely like to fish a spot, the fish biting, I stay on it pretty hard and I fish it. But once that bite slows, I'll move to another spot and fish that. But definitely, a lot of times when you go back to that original spot that where you were getting the bite, there's a lot of times when you go back, there's quality fish waiting for you when you go back. You may the first time you was there, you may have caught quite a few small ones, but I have found that if you go back to that spot, give it a break from like maybe an hour or two, and go back to it. Then a lot of times you can go back and you can pick up 2 or 3, nice quality fish from that original location that you may have started with that morning, or earlier during the day, So, always if you have a spot that's hot, just go back and hit it for maybe give it 30 minutes and see what happens. A few nice points I want to bring out about this state park. They rent kayaks. It's a self-service rental kayak spot that they have here, and also they have a fish cleaning station. So if you bring your knives with you, you can clean your fish here. It has running water, no electric, and they have RV camping and tent camping. All right, so this is standing timber at Purtis Creek, and from the boat ramp, it only takes a few minutes to get over to your spot with kayak. So it's a good lake to kayak fish, and for sure put this lake on your to-do list. It also, if you're not into crappie fishing, or you're just into bass fishing, or you do both, maybe you can come here and fish. Fish half the day for bass and half the day for crappie. The bass is catch and release. The camera was off at one time, but I caught a nice 3-pound black bass when I was crappie fishing, and so there are big bass in this thing. So Purtis Creek, give it a shot. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you hit that notification. Life is good when you're getting bent, so go out there and get bent, guys.